How are you going? Well, we started this, was this yesterday? I can't, time has no meaning. I think it was before I headed off to my workshop that I'm participating in. And it's it's very self-led, experimental, if you want it to be, mixed media. The emphasis really on oils, but I've hardly touched my oils. Anyway, blah-de-blah. What we're doing here is watercolour. And the reason I was thinking of the watercolours yesterday was I've loved using these watercolours in everything. And of course I love bright colours, but this new set, the mobile library set's got these beautiful deep granulated colours. That's what I'm loving. And sort of winter here, it's suiting it, but all of these deep colours let the brighter colours resonate. So anyway, we'll see what happens today. I don't know yet. As with every time I turn this on. Hey Kerry! Hey Crystal Kane, Julie, Pages of an Art Journal, Jenny, Emma, Diane, Heather, Robin, welcome. Right, so we started this very loose little painting, drawing, lady, and yesterday, using the new watercolours and a little bit of pot of gold, we floated that in there too. And let's have a look at what we've got. And I've got to show you what I created yesterday. The biggest painting I've ever painted. And I might have painted one that's a bit bigger, but it's huge. And it just flew out, and yeah, I'm completely amazed with myself. Not that the painting's like, you know, going to stop the world or anything like that. I don't mean like that. It just was an experience. And because, you know, this one flowed out, didn't it? So it's not like that's unusual. It's just the size of it, the scale. And the art supplies I used, they're amazing. Joyful Gesso. Oh. Marzipan crayons, unreal. And I've got these oil sticks that I've had for 10 years and thought I'll finally use them in this workshop I'm taking. And the marzipan twists are better. I'm sorry, they just are. They're just easier to use and they dry. I can take my picture home. Okay, anyway. Let's give this little lady a bit of detail. Now I must say I do quite like her in this loose format. I'm reading a book at the moment which I'm loving, Medusa's Sisters, and it's just beautifully written. It's just so good. It's right up my alley, and I think these are all different versions of the sisters and just coming along to life. Now I've got pixel pens here. These would be nice to add a little bit of detail, but this is very, very wishy-washy. So I wonder if these would be a bit too precise at this point. Let me consider for one moment. And please, if you've got any questions, I'm keeping an eye on the chat. Of course, when I'm drawing, painting and talking, keeping the eye on the chat is also, you know, I need an eye at the side of my head as well. And yes, indeedy. Oh, Heather says it looks like a self-portrait. Oh, there you go, maybe. Yes, so this might be nice for adding in. Actually, that's not comfortable. Maybe if I pop that there. I've just popped these little handy helper clips at the sides here just to help keep the paper down. And what I'm working in, just in case you don't know, your URL, this is the flip journal version. There's the flip pad, which is like a normal pad. Fabulous watercolour paper, absolutely so good, loving it. this one I've had, so it binds at the side, so you can keep it like a little journal. You just have to make sure you don't get too much water in here. You can reattach pages, of course, but you can see this in operation. So I want to keep this very loose, but what I can do is just add a little bit of structure, just a little bit of structure, so it's got a little bit more movement here. And hey Jennifer, I'm glad you've caught a live as well, and I love seeing, when I'm looking at the chats, I can see who is in our little membership bubble, and you certainly don't have to be a member, but I'm saying thank you for joining the membership. We had a fabulous little, if you haven't seen that little video that's for members, it's got some good lessons in it. Some of the stuff that I've been discovering and in my workshops where I'm doing free play here, but it's just different when I'm working in a class environment, because I don't have everything. I've only got what I'm taking with me. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. But I'm sharing some of those little details, and I think I'm heading towards my next online workshop. And also we've got our first in years live workshop coming up. So I'll give you the details of that. And I'm looking for my beautiful symmetry grid. Oh, there she is. I just had to remember where I put her. Now I'm going to pop this down. The face is just on a slight tilt back here. And I'm just using this to help me set up eyes. Now, when things are super loose and watery and all of that, your brain doesn't pick up that eyes, are wiggledy-piggledy. It's not important because everything's soft and loose and everything's forgiven in a sketch, as we know. But as I start to add detail, then I'll want to have a little bit of structure, and this is just one of those tools that helps me. So this is the symmetry grid. You can also use it as a giant stamp block, so I use it for my really big stamps as well. And I'm just getting that, I've got this angle of her face. I think that's pretty much the angle. So that means I'll emphasize that when I get back to the lips. And I need to, so the top of this green, I need to lift up. But see, if I just went from here, I would end up with the eyes being very uneven, which people's eyes are uneven anyway. But in a drawing, if this is, if this is Medusa or one of the sisters, then, they are on the monsters spectrum of the gods and monsters, but they're immortal, so they're probably symmetrical. So, in a monstrous way. So let's, this was obviously before they were organised. Okay, so I need to lift that up to that spot there. So I'm just going to mark that in with this pen. Now this is water soluble, this ink, so that will give me a little bit, I can add water to it if it's too distinct, but this will be fine for now. And I can just pop in a little bit of this darker olive green as well, and then not quite sure about all that. Now I've also got this other little device. Does it have to be mechanical to be a device? Anyway, this little helpy hander. This is the Face Wax ruler. It's got these ovals on here which are great for starting off face shapes, and a little map that's from my Beautiful Faces book, and it's constructing a whimsical face in my sort of style. And then this is because I can only do it in my style, right, because I am trapped in myself. And this is circles, which are very specifically helpful for eyes, because there's no rules in faces except for your eyes, which have circles. Pupils and irises, they look really odd if they're not circles. So sometimes a little circular device like this is such a helpful, I can't even say the word, helpful entity. Let's say that. So I'm using that and this one. It's also got these little marks around here, so if you have to line things up, just to help you line things up, that's going to be helpful too. Now see how I put that full iris in? See how immediately alert she looks? Oh, you can't see it on your angle so much, but I certainly can. So I'm just going to soften that back off again, and I'm going to add water on the inside of this, so the outside of that line stays fairly structured, but the inside I'm letting it melt. So I'm just adding variety. And even though that's a little bit wet, I'll just be careful when I pop this down flat. So let me pop that under her eye. Okay, I still can lift that up a little bit more, because that green that's come down there, that'll trick me all the way through. And now technically, this eye, as the eye turns away, is going to be smaller than this eye. So I used this circle, I think, to construct this one. So really, I should step down and lift that up a little bit. Maybe this actually needs to come over a little bit too. I think this part of the face is getting a bit wide. So I'm just going to play around with that and just see how that feels. Because I can add water, I've got a little bit of playroom for that. So I can just add my water, as long as I don't press too hard in wet paper. Oh, here I am washing my brush. There's no water in there. So that's quite funny. And yet there was water, enough water in there just for me to have done that. So that was at least helpful. Okay. Hey Sarah, how are you going? The new watercolours will be restocked probably at some point, but they are limited at the moment. And I don't know when that will be. But yes, they are on the website at the moment. And and I posted a little bit of what I created last week. Last class, it's not that I almost didn't go. I really am quite dedicated to going, but I was in not a good headspace, and I'm so glad that I went. There's a lovely girl there, and I just had a chat. It was just nice to talk to someone. I don't know, it just was really good. I'm really glad I went and did my art, and our teacher is a famous abstract artist in Australia. Oops, that's not my set that I can paint from. That's a little pristine one. Was giving me lots of different books to look from, so it felt quite nourishing is a good word for it. And yeah, it was a good experience. So anyway, I know I'm vague about it, but you know, it's just, we're on the internet and you can't be open about, you know, everything. Besides, it would be boring. So I'm really just trying to tell you the important parts, which art helps always. And yes, oops. Now I'm also looking a little bit on screen at what I'm doing, and gosh, things look so different. I'm gonna have to move that clip because it's bothering me. And then I have to also decide, do I want to lose the really wishy-washy nature of this, and how much of that do I want to lose? Now the colours that I'm like moving within a lot with this palette, because they're new to me, or new to our realm, to the Jane Davenport watercolour realm, the Crucible, Dorian Grey, the colour Purple a little bit, and Persuasion, a little bit of Watership Down. So this is, so on the little candies on here, you've got the names I've given them, like the Crucible, but this is a Caput Mortuum, which is a cardinal violet. It always sounds like Caput Mortuum is a word for someone who's died to me. They've gone kaput. Oh, I'm just going to let, it's Puppy Circus today, and I'm just going to quickly let Brooke in. And then she can get started on those puppies. Puppy Circus. It's obedience training for the dogs, and I never stopped it from when they were puppies. And because they're so small, we can't call it obedience training, it's Puppy Circus. They're not that obedient. And it's just a lovely thing. I feel very privileged to have Brooke come and to spend that kind of time with the dogs. Popcorn's so clever. He should be on TV, really. He's a really clever little dog. Okay, now they're barking at me, saying, Brooke's here, Brooke's here, Brooke's here. So just 1 second. Okay. Puppy Circus. Hey Bianca, made in France. How you going, Cinnamon? Oh, Lise, how you going? Debbie. Oh, Zandra's here. Julianne's here. Oh, good to see you, everyone. Oh. I'm just having a quick look to see if there's art questions there. And yes, these are the granulating watercolours. Not all the colours are going to granulate, but the heavily granulating ones, as you can see, are the ones that I've been using. So it's all of these darker colours are just a heavier pigment. And of course, when you add other watercolours to them, that accentuates the granulation. So I've got the turquoise in there, and it makes everything granulate and do all those nice things. So I've got a little bit of, now I think I do want to add a bit of structure, and I think watercolour pencil, or we might even go marzipan twists. Marzipan twists are, I've been super enjoying them because I've been painting so big. Well, yesterday it was huge. It was like over 2 meters tall and over 1 meter wide, and I did a massive portrait size thing, and these were unbelievable on the gesso. They're just so they're the souped up version of the colour sticks. If you had the colour sticks from my collections that I had in Michael's, these are they're softer, more pigmented. The people that made the colour sticks for me, they are gone. That whole factory burnt down, all the moulds, that whole branch of that thing has gone. But it's a really important tool. So, you know, I went to recreate and do something a little better. And what I wanted to create was actually layer cake in a stick, because layer cake is just... So, and then these became their own thing. They're not as cute as colour sticks, because the colour sticks kind of look like fancy lipsticks, and it was part of that whole making faces, fantasy, fun collection. Anyway, this is... I'm not sure if these are going to be too big and brutal for this, and this is still damp. Let's see. Well, then maybe I'll start down here. But the way they glide is just so... There's something joyful about the motion. I went to an exhibition in London years ago of Matisse, and it was on his collages in his later years in life, where he couldn't draw anymore and he was bedbound a lot, and he would hold scissors and he would have assistants move big pieces of painted paper, and from that they created stained glass windows, huge collages, his famous series of blue figures, just paper cutouts. And he said, as a quote in that exhibition, it made him feel like flying, this feeling. And that's what I get from these. It's this, it feels like flying on paper. I get what the man was talking about. Just that momentary. And when I was a kid, I remember my mum getting this Yves Saint Laurent lipstick. And I was with her, I went to the shops, I knew that she'd saved up, you know, like it was a really big deal having this fancy lipstick, you know, you had to be on a waiting list to get this fancy Yves Saint Laurent opium lipstick. And I remember running up and down the hallway with it and drawing on the wallpaper, and just the feeling of it gliding. What a dreadful child. I was very, very little, so in my defence. And I remember, because I just was so short, so I know I was very young. And every time I use those, I remember that gliding feeling. And I remember my sister getting in trouble, my younger sister, because she was drawing in the bathroom, in the toilet. There was a little hidden room, I guess, and she was drawing on the wall. I can't remember with what, I just remember the drawings were there. And thinking, yep, you can't do that. I've already learnt that lesson. You should have come to me. I could have told you. That's not going to fly. I have to remember to ask her if she remembers that. So the colour that I'm using here is a... it's called Persuasion, and it's a permanent magenta. So it's part of that magenta family, and there's permanent magenta, and we've also got a quinacridone magenta in this collection, which is the Little Women, this colour. They're quite different in what they do. As you, like, this is much pinker, and I've just added in there though. But I think of it more, there's a collection of colours in the Perylene family, which is a synthetic, like quinacridone. It's a synthetic family of colours. When you mix the Crucible and Persuasion, you're getting into these Perylene-ish maroons, which are like the Tattoo Kink, aubergine, muted purples. I do not think of myself as loving purple and using a lot of purple in my work, but it pops up a lot because it's so handy, it's so beautiful. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. And the little tin comes with it. Now I've taken all of my other watercolours that I had in this sort of tin so that I can amalgamate them as a set, and then I added all of my colour library to it. This is all the colour library, which are the tube watercolours like this. I'll just show you. That's these guys. There's 24 of those colours. you know, professional grade, blah, blah, blah. Plus the original watercolour pans from the original watercolour tin set. So I've got all of those there, and they're fabulous. I love them as a great big set. This one, I thought I was going to have to find a whole new tin because I was going to have to incorporate these because these are new colours into that set. I'm sort of thinking I'm going to keep them in this tin and use them like this. I've got a warm mixing set, a cool mixing set in here, plus these granulating colours. It's sort of like its own little universe. So I created this tin. It's the book truck version or the mobile library version of the colour library. Some of the colour library colours are in here. And then there's 15 colours, and then there's 10 of them are all unique to this set. And it's just a fantastic little universe of its own. Having said that, I will eventually add more pans in here, and I'll probably put a couple of the colours from the colour library, from the tubes in here, like Pygmalion. I'll probably put a gold from the Pebble Pigment so that I've got a metallic in there as well. And I'm not sure yet. Taking my time. Taking my time. I like to think about these things. We might do it together. And oh, there's some nice things that are happening here. So maybe I want that a bit lighter. I'm just going to add a little bit more water. Maybe I'll add in a bit of this colour purple into here. And don't forget, we've got our prompts for Juicy June, which is watercolour in June. And the colour purple, I just love the quote from it that I've used as a prompt. I think it pisses God off if you walk by the colour purple in a field somewhere and don't notice it. It's an amazing book by Alice Walker. It's an amazing film as well. Quite intense. Bit brutal, really. Oh, yum. And I've got a bit of that Pygmalion happening there, actually. No highlights yet. We're just still in Wifty Wafty zone. And we can stay in Wifty Wafty for as long as we like. We don't need to come out. So I've given her quite a strong jawline there. This hair isn't sitting properly at all, and this ear is not in the right spot. This is why we let things evolve. In the wishy-washy zone, none of that matters. But as we start to add a bit of detail, then, you know, I need to think more about where I'm going, what's happening. So I'm glad I've got my little symmetry grid out already so that I've got a bit of structure in there, and I lifted that eye. I probably could lift it a bit higher. But I kind of want to keep this quite minimal because I think I want to leave this weird gold reflection on there, and I don't mind all this. I might tighten it up. I did bring out my pencils, didn't I? Now there's a colour in here called Lionfish, and there's also the Claret. There's two different watercolour sets, and I must say I use these colours a lot, but I might go rum and cola as well, a bit of brown. Just to start, I might just softly build this. I'm pressing very, very softly. And watercolour pencils are they're really watercolour in a stick, mine are anyway. And this, you can use them just like a normal pencil, like I'm using here. And then of course when you add water, they've got that extra trick. I love them also because if the paper is still wet from watercolour, you can use them because they release into the watercolour. They're a mermaid. They're half one thing, half another. They're just trapped in their, living in their landlocked form until they touch water, and then they remember what they really are. Oh yes, that was the right colour. So this one is Tia Maria. So these are all named after drinks. And I'm just pressing really softly so that I'm just adding a little bit of structure. Oh, there's a bit of that granulating blue in the background there with the crucible, the Dorian grey, which is a Payne's grey. There's an indigo in the colour library set as well, but it's different, and really you just can't have enough of those dark navy blue colours. They're so good for backgrounds. I can always make this darker and darker and darker and take it more and more into a black background if I want to, or add other colours into it, like I've added turquoise in there. But to me, the navies, those deep indigos, those blues, they're pushed into the background, but there's still life in there. We're not disappearing into darkness. I need to move that. It's a bit different for me. Her neck isn't as long as I use. Still very long neck, unnaturally long, but the necks I draw are so long. Oh my goodness. So even though this is still a little bit wet, a bit damp, I can still, if this was normal pencil, I'd have to scratch into the paper to get any colour to come out. But because this is watercolour, it can play on that surface. And also I'm on a very good paper that can cope with it. So I'm just, oh, there's some nice little granulations happening. Let me just show you. Can you see? Just this little play of colours of the indigos and that brown there, which is a violet, really is part of that family as well. And oh, it's just yummy to me. Oh, I should vary my colours up a little bit. This is the rum and cola. And I can add water to this and turn it more watercolour-y. There's a beautiful bit of violet there. I wonder if I should emphasise that. This is Violet Fizz. This is coming in lighter. Oh, I might actually add that here. It might not be quite the right colour, but you know, I can add more colour to it. This will be too wet, too dark to be able to see it. I'll just put it there anyway. And I'm going to use this to start getting this eye socket to settle in to the rest of the face. This is all not, oh, this is complementary colours up here. We're starting to go into, not quite complementary, but this is going to make the gold look brighter. Oh, actually no, purple and yellow. It's just these are, that's a very warm yellow. This is a cooler, is that, wait a minute, going forward towards the pinks. Yes, it's a cooler purple. But I'm building up that more violet fizz colour. But I can go in with a bit more of a deeper purple as well. So this is where my beautiful lionfish is. Might be something on the end of that. Oh, and I started with these and then went banging on and on and on about them, didn't end up using them. So let's do that here. And these are water soluble because they're also so soft. I can also just get a nice little soft touch here as well. And I'm just checking the tip before I put it down just to see if I've got something else on there. Because they're soft, whatever you use them on can actually pick up and jump onto here. So I just want to make sure if I want that pure colour, need to make sure that's a little bit clean, that's all. But it gives a nice sketchy look because it's a bit big for what I'm doing. So it's going to be a kind of a messy, imperfect kind of thing, which is nice. We like imperfect. Yes, we do. I can always get more structured with acrylic, especially in a paint pen like that. Excusez-moi. Just gonna go in. So that was the fior di latte. So these are all named after gelatos in Rome. We keep everything fun. We don't need serious. Life's serious enough. And art does not have to be serious to be meaningful. People, I don't even think it's the artists pretending that it is. It's art sells better, I think, when it's in those fancy galleries. If it's serious, it gets more money. But we don't have to worry about that. That's not our job. That is very nice. Okay, so that was Castagna. Okay. Now let me have a little look for colours. We do have neon watercolour paint, but you just need to mix it yourself, that's all. And that's these. The colours of mass creation, not destruction, creation. I need to refill this yellow. I don't think this really suits it, but we can take a little quick break from her and these soft colours. And oh, these are little swatch outs of the mobile version of the colour library. That's the colours. So even though I'm using these sort of more subtle colours, deeper colours, this is the full spectrum. They're bright. It's a replacement of the bright palette set. It's just got the addition of these new incredible colours that granulate and just expand that. Her as well, I would suggest, in that category. Yeah, divine. So I'm using that end of this spectrum because I am. But look at the mixing, the granulation. Yum. Watercolour is delish. Look at this little cute mermaid. So this was playing around a little bit with Welcome Mat watercolours, which are more of pastels. And this is this is part of the fairy dust. I'm just grabbing the fairy dust so I can show you what we're talking about. So fairy dusts come like this, and there's 3 different sets. These are the Magical Moonlights, which have nearly sold out. And they're a set of 10 or 12, I can't quite remember. This is one of the fairy dust. There's 50 colours in this, and they make up these glorious things. There's also the moth dust colours, which are your darker colours, deeper colours. These are the fairy dust, and they're all iridescent watercolours. Heaven on a palette. I was going to say on a stick, but they're not on a stick. Heaven on a paintbrush. That's those, and part of that story is the neons. So you can make these into an ink, into a spray, into a watercolour. You just add gum arabic, which is our kind of binder, which is like this. Literally, that's all you need. I wouldn't. You can add honey and glycerin for a quicker release, but you don't need to. We've got little colour cauldrons. Everything's on the website so you can see all of that. But now, because you mention it now, I wanted to play with it. And up here, we've also got the gorgeous watercolours that I did in collaboration with Chelsea Vents. And we've got, that's the workshop that I've got coming up, so I'll let you know about that. Like an actual in-person workshop where you make watercolour with Chelsea, and then we do a watercolour workshop with me. What are we wanting? Let's do this gorgeous blue. So this is Bikini Atoll. So fluorescent blue isn't as it will fluoresce, of course, under light, But it's not as fluorescing as the pinks and the yellows. The yellow is always the one that looks neon even without anything. So let's, oh, it's just gorgeous. I don't even know if the camera can pick it up. And then when we mix these two, of course, we're going to start getting a little mixture of colours. And then let's get a little bit of, this is cute nude, no, this is a radiated coral. And this one here is Chocoholic. And we'll let them mix so we get an orange in there as well. But there is those fire engine colours too. And let's just let it be itself as well. This is Rose Extreme. This is a beautiful red. And this is more of a neon. So neon red is one of my favourite colours. It's my favourite orange. Let's put a little bit of actual neon orange in there, just for fun. And this is, so that was ionised on orange. This is Cute Nuke. A little bit of oxidization there. When you let the colours mix and plop out here, not so much that blue, but look at those. Oh, yum. Anyway, so you said neon, yes. We do have neon. Oh, and there is also Purple People Eater. Or actually it's called Particle Collider. I always think of it as Flying Purple People Eater. What this has to do with this, well, it doesn't, but oh, and seeing as we did add colour to those, let's, oh my gosh, that is beautiful. Let's just put it all on there. So this is the Atlantis Earth, Wind and Fire set, and then there's the Atlantis pink and blue water, and Atlantis gold. Atlantis, which has also got holographic particles in it. And this is the AI Artificial Intelligence set. Oh, so gorge. Blah, blah, blah. Just too much fun for one paintbrush to handle. I'll just pop that over there again. Yes, the moth set is gorgeous. So that moth set's sort of like the fairy dust version of these deeper colours in this collection, really. Okay, she definitely needs a little bit of highlight in the eye. So I can keep, the Master Pan Twist is going to be a bit too brutal, big for this. So I'm going to use this. But this likes a dry paper too. So this is the Fluffy White Clouds. So it still keeps a very soft white as well, or like a rough edge. So oh, and I forgot about Puppy Circus. I better go up there and get involved with the puppies. So cute. Yeah, I'm just going to let this slowly build. I want to soften that back up again. It's gotten too distinct. Not that I'm working on a masterpiece or anything, just And this hair, what is going on? With this hair. Yeah, I think we've got too much fullness there, not enough fullness there. This is dry, so I'm just going to come around with my pencils and whatnot there. I can also come around with my watercolour, of course. So that was this Dorian Grey. And we'll just let that dry again. And then that is very distinct, that line there, so it's just one of those I'll just soften, or just depends. What's also kind of cool is if I let this be a bit sharp and then let the eyes be really, really soft, so they stand out more. I was playing around with that in class, so I think it's something I quite often do, and yeah, it just has a nice, it just draws more attention to the eyes. And it's not so much doing it on purpose as I like doing it, drawing eyes. I just put more time into it too. So it's just by accident really, but we'll... Oh, I quite like that extra depth there, but we can just soften it out a little bit. Yum. Ooh, that bubble. Oh, look, I'm going to move it to where it might be helpful. Ah, it popped anyway. Yeah, we'll just wait and see. I'm just going to add a bit. I'm just scrubbing that paper just a bit. I don't want to deface the paper. Eventually I'll annoy it. And I think I've put something on there which is put some little freckles. I do have some little lines there from earlier. Something else that I've done. So yeah, we're just building up, building up. That's a bit distinct, so I'm just going to come over with a little bit of softer colour. Yeah, we'll just keep playing around with her, see where it goes. But yeah, she needs more, definitely needs more back of her head. This is all compressed, a bit too compressed. So I can put a bit of white layer cake on there, I think would be the solution. This, I've moved my watercolours and things around a bit. Oh, I've got a brand new one. My layer cake wheels around, and I need to move them back right in front of me. I'm missing them there. So I need to get my eye, train my eye back in, so I'll just let that be here. Add that little highlight on here. This grey white that's got a bit of that blue on there, it's a good one for the whites in the eye. So I'll just pop that there. I think I need to push that eye over there a bit more. She's not quite looking the right way. So we can do that, not a problem. I might even add that over there a little bit more. We'll just keep playing around with things. So there we go. Right, we've talked about the neons. Amy wants to move to Australia to come do the workshop. It's going to be fun. Yes, Kerry and Debbie are making plans to play with neons. Good idea. And my secret answer is that Jane, yes. Okay, my friends, well, I'm going to go up to Puppy Circus and, oh, and also, was it Kelly or Jennifer who was talking about the neons? There's also neon layer cake. If you didn't want to make up your own, there's the neon layer cake as well. Very gorgeous. It's got the neons down here and the pastels at the top. Fabulous, fabulousness. So what else have we got that's neon? There's also a couple of neon colours in the tattoo ink. Hello. Neon pink skull. And yeah, there are neons. That's the neons. So we've got the pigments, so you can make whatever you like. The neon layer cake, chef's kiss, and the neon inks. Oh, and there are neons in the store, in the musical markers too, in the paint pens. So we've kind of got the neons covered. Very delicious. Yes, the neon, and the neon pigments, especially in the sprays, granulate. They're gorgeous because it's just the way the pigment is. Yes, so we'll have to play with that at some point too, or I can show you some of my other things with those. I just have to find them. There's a lot of art to go through. There's a lot to look at, a lot to do, a lot to see. So this is still in this same sort of spectrum of colours that I'm super in love with at the moment because they're new and, well, they're gorge. But don't forget that the actual, I don't want that to mislead you, that this is a dark palette. It's not. It's this. It's the highest quality professional grade watercolour. You've got your warm, like I said, warm mixing colours, cool mixing colours, plus these new divine creatures. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you've got it's not quite exactly a repeat of the original Brights set, but it's the evolution of that. It's sort of, so if you've already got that, you can easily justify this new set. But if you have that and you're good, it's all fine. You don't have to have everything. I have to have everything. me. And I design and create things primarily for myself because I'm very selfish and always wanting just to create better and better and more art supplies that just do more and more things because joyful. And people will say, which should I get first? And I say, it doesn't matter. If you love them, and I think you will, you'll end up with everything over time anyway. It's just a matter of order. So there's no pressure on yourself at any point in time. You can't make a mistake is all I'm trying to tell you. You can't make a mistake. And I know this because I used tattoo inks, Joyful Gesso. I'd already prepared the surface. And I had another surface that I'd used the paint from the classroom the week before. Vomit, poo-poo. Couldn't put watercolour on it. Inks didn't stick to it. Not mixed media at all. No. Joyful Gesso or my original paints in whatever, because they're ultra matte and they layer. As long as you've got that as your base, you can do anything in the world. The world your oyster. Yes, and then you can, mixing the, rather than using oil paint, which I've taken to the class, and which the class is about, just never bloody dries. And it smells nice though, that is very true. But I can sniff it and just continue on with what it is that I'm doing and having the best time ever. Okay, my friends, well, yes. Are you coming to September, Debbie? You are not. That would be so cool. Yes. So I'm super excited too because I'll, of course, be doing the watercolour mixing with Chelsea. And I don't consider myself... Mixing watercolours, mixing pigments is really easy with the tools that I've got. That's what I worked on to make it a bit easier. There are some that are hard. We're not doing that. We're keeping in the joyful state. There's some pigments you just really need to buy as paint because mixing them it can be toxic, it can be troublesome, and you have to mix it. It's just way too much. They're too expensive to buy as pigment, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but we're going to be making watercolour, learning those secrets, having joyful time, and then we're going to be doing watercolour after it. Not sure if we'll be using the watercolours we've just mixed, but that would be awesome because they might have to set a little bit. And if we add more water in them to use them, that might be a problem. So we'll take that. We'll go by ear. Is that the saying? Go by ear? That doesn't sound right. I'm not using that correctly. Anyway. Crystal saying, do we offer Zoom options for the live workshops? Not at this point, but maybe in the future. That might be too technical for me. I would need lots of help. Well, Debbie, if you come or we don't, it'll be amazing. Oh, Sandra's might be coming too. Oh, wonderful. Okay, my friends. Well, thank you. Come on a cruise ship. There you go. Thank you for joining me and having a play with watercolour. I hope you go off and do some yourself. And we count our blessings. I think that's how we should end every video now. Count the blessings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bye.